We're coming into autumn, the weather's cooling down, and now is the perfect time to give the garden a revamp. All right, lads, let's get stuck into it. I love the cottagey feel of this place. It looks really nice with these iceberg roses, the colour scheme's great, but the deck does need a bit of a lift, and that's not going to take much work. Once I've done that, I want to extend this garden bed out and bring in lots more flowers. First things first though, I need to fix up this wonky sandstone path. The problem we had with our last paving was it was basically laid on soil and sand. So when it rained, it washed out and you got an uneven path. Benny and I are going to lay it on sand and cement. That's going to make sure it's nice and solid. Now I'm leaving a few gaps to put some aromatic plants in, so when they creep over the pavers and you step on them, you get a lovely fragrance. Now, a problem I see a lot when people are planting their garden beds is they don't give their plants enough room. That way all your plants look all tight and cramped and your garden just looks a little bit stingy. Take this place, for example. It's quite wide, it's close to the fence, and that means I can get some more garden bed, which will make this feel much more generous. There's nothing worse than grass growing into your garden bed. So I'm just using a simple aluminium edge to keep the two separated. It clicks together and you pin it down with these really simple nails. It's as easy as that. Now, I did mention that this was a nice deck, but who wants to sit on a nice deck enjoying your new garden when your neighbours can see it? So I'm going to be building a privacy screen. I'm going to use a really simple pre-primed treated pine that I'm going to paint white to match in with the existing trim. We're going to have 3 separate screens. They're going to be 42mm by 70mm gap. That way we're going to get some screening, but it's also going to let the light through. To house our screens, Ben and I are installing a simple frame. Right, Benny, I'll jump up.
Yep.
Get it into this corner, bottom rail. Finally, I can sunbathe in the nude.
Shocker.
This deck's in pretty good condition. It's made of treated pine, which is going to last for about 20 years. But I want to change the colour, so I'm doing that with a water-based stain. This is going to make it much darker and richer. Another benefit of that is it's going to last even longer. Now, I need to start getting some plants in the ground, but before I do that, I'm improving the soil. I'm doing that by turning it over, which aerates it with a fork, and I'm adding in compost at the same time. Now, compost is perfect for every type of soil, be it sandy or clay. It helps it hold on to nutrients and water. It's also really good for biodiversity in the soil, which is things like worms and bacteria that are going to really help your plants. Take good care of yourself. Now, this really is the most rewarding part of this mini makeover, adding in plants. I've taken inspiration from what's existing, and look at this array of fantastic cottage garden plants. We're in lovely silvers, whites, mauves and pinks, and all these lovely flowers are dainty and tiny. They're going to float in the wind, and they're just going to make this garden absolutely sing. Take good care of yourself. Another little beauty of a plant I got my hands on is this euphorbia. Now, this variety is called Garden Jewels. The thing I love about this is it's going to flower for pretty much 12 months of the year and takes very little maintenance. This variety has a really dense clump of flowers, so it always looks this good. It's never really going to get too high, so it's perfect for masking this water meter. I'm doing a combination of lemon thyme and straight thyme throughout our stepping stones, so when you walk on the path, you get that lovely fragrance. Now, these will creep over the whole lot and you'll lose the stones, but luckily, if you prune them to shape, you can take what's inside and put it on a pizza. I couldn't resist the opportunity to add some vertical height to this garden, and I'm doing it with a really simple trellis of galvanized wires just screwed into these posts. I've planted a white Banksia rose. Now, I want this to twine all the way up and over the front of the property. That way, in spring, we're going to get a fantastic display of white flowers. Once you've got all your plants in the ground, you've got to give them a great soak. That helps them to establish. And because it's autumn, I'm also going to give my roses a bit of a feed. Now, liquid's great because it's fast-acting, and this stuff is really high in potash, so you get nice big blooms. Because it doesn't only work on roses, it works on all your flowering plants. It's amazing how just a few small jobs can really lift a garden. I mean, all we've really done here is a privacy screen, a simple trellis, restained a deck, and reset some paving. The best part about this garden, though, is all this amazing planting. And because we've done it in autumn, it's going to establish well, and come spring, it's going to look even better than it does today. With modern garden design becoming more and more popular, there's a definite shift from more traditional flowering plants to more contemporary textural plants. But you don't need to completely redesign your whole garden to get the look. I'll show you how to select these plants and how to use them. So when it comes to textured gardening or textured plants, what are we actually talking about? Well, texture is the consistency of a surface, and when it comes to garden design, I like to think of my garden beds as artworks, like a blank canvas that I want to add interest to. And I'm going to do that through different heights, shapes, forms, and colour. You want your garden bed to look great from afar, but then you want things to draw you in, and you do that with tactile things like this casuarina. You just can't help but get close and touch this. Adding texture to a drought-tolerant or contemporary garden is really easy because you've got a massive array of cactus and succulents that give you architectural form and lovely glaucous colour. But your garden doesn't have to be all cactus to make it textural. Have a look at this display. We've got vertical accent in the cactus and a lovely silver olive, but then it's combined with rounded Raffia lepsis and natives like Lomandra and Westringia. You can do this in a formal garden as well. Like with these clipped topiary balls. Now, when these are mass planted, I love the way they give you a cloud-like feel, and over there it just looks so sleek and modern. You can do it with cactus as well. Take a look at these golden barrels. They look fantastic. And then brought down into the foreground, the zoysia turf, which will just give you a lovely bit of texture down at ground level. When it comes to adding textural plants to your garden, you don't need to rip out what's already there. You just want to add interest through adding in texture. And I'm going to do that with these plants. Now, this is Kalanchoe copper spoons. It's a lovely upright succulent. You can tell why it gets its name through the shape of its leaf. I'm like a kid in a candy shop. There's just so much to choose from. But when you're selecting plants for your own garden, you need to try and imagine the shapes you want to put together and the space they're going to grow into. The plants I've already got would really benefit from having some lovely round structure to them. So I'm using this. This is Crassula bluebird. It gets naturally a lovely bun shape. It's got a nice red tinge to the end of the leaf, but a glaucous colour to the main part.
What should I do when nothing makes a difference? What should I say?
So we're back from the nursery and we're going to be planting up this garden. Now, this is like so many in Australia. It's okay, but it just needs a bit of a lift. It's got the startings of some texture with these Dracaena and the soft grasses, but of course we need to add some more. First stage is to set your plants out. I'm starting with my biggest plants. This is Raffia lepsis, Oriental Pearl. And I'm placing it up here because we've got the rounded shapes of the Tunica, although they're quite light and fluffy. This gives us a more clipped round shape, so it sits comfortably next to them. You then look at the dark spots at the back of the garden beds, and I want something that's going to be a bit taller and a bit brighter. Something like this oak leaf is perfect. Where are you going to go? In there. Adding light to the back of a garden bed really makes the plants stand out. It's going to show off both of them nicely.
I'm beside you, fighting the fight.
I'm now adding some coastal rosemary that's been clipped into a ball. Now, this adds another texture because the leaf is so fine. By repeating the same shapes throughout the garden bed, it just adds layers of texture and makes the garden feel like it was designed as one.
You take the bitter with the sweet and hold on to what you feel. Getting no
I love the colour of these copper spoons, and they're going to get a little bit taller and contrast with the rounded coastal rosemary. I'm also putting in some bluebirds because the blue and the copper goes really nicely together, and that's just a little bit softer than the clipped balls. Then I'll get on to setting out the foreground. For the foreground, I'm using Casuarina Cousin It. Now, this has got a lovely growth habit that just spreads out, and it's going to grow over the front of these rocks, and slowly they'll disappear from your eye. It also adds a lovely textural element just with this Westringia. You can see there's a few spots around as well, so I'm going to go around the garden, see what I can lift and divide and bring in for free. So I found a couple of plants that suit our theme really well. We've got the Agave attenuata, or century plant. Now, this is so easy to propagate. You literally cut it off and stick it in the ground and it's going to grow. And also found these variegated liriops. These lift and divide. I've left some in a clump over there so we're not stripping from the garden, and they'll add a nice vertical accent and a nice bit of light colour as well. And the best part about it is it doesn't cost the earth. And with that done, to finish it off, we're just going to apply some mulch. So you can see, by just adding some textured plants, you can completely redesign and transform your garden. So you want to grow some veggies, but maybe your garden isn't suitable, or perhaps you've never done it before. You're concerned about getting the right nutrition, the sunlight, all the stuff that goes with it. Well, never fear, I'm here to help. And if you think I'm going to tell you to put them in the pot, well, you're wrong. And this makes it as easy as to grow veggies. It's the Rich Grow Grow Bag. Now, this one's for winter vegetables like I'm about to plant. All you need is the bag and some seedlings. Now, the first step is to free up the potting mix in the bag, and then we're going to pop some holes in the bottom for drainage. The next step is to flip it back over, even it out, and then we're just going to cut the holes to allow for planting. Now, if you've got larger plants, any of the brassicas, like your Brussels sprouts, your broccoli, cauliflower, you might just want to do 2, but if you're doing smaller things, like silver beet and spinach, you're probably going to cut all 3 holes. And that's it, with 3 holes cut, it's time to get on to planting. Now, I'm just going to stick 1 silver beet per hole here. It's tempting to put more in, but you've got to remember these are going to grow, so you don't want to give too much plant to soil ratio. Simply create a hole like you would plant in the ground. Oh, you will make a mess, don't worry. In it goes, and just lightly firm around it, and it really is as simple as that. This bag is rammed full of nutrients that are going to last about 8 weeks. After that, you want to start giving it some liquid feed. You could do that every 10 to 14 days. I've put this silver beet in direct sunlight, but if you don't have that much sun, you might want to build something so you can move it around and make it a little bit more mobile. I'll show you how to do that, but first up, you've got to water them in. So I'm making a really simple tray with handles so we can move our grow bag around and chase that sunlight. I've pre-cut some timbers, really simple rectangle shape. I'm just going to pre-drill and then screw it all together. Now, I used H3 treated timber for this frame, which means it can be left outdoors. And I'm using marine ply for this base. I'm going to line this up, screw it down. And and then much like the grow bag, I'll punch some holes in it for drainage. Now, I think we can agree this tray doesn't look very nice as it is, so I'm going to put some cladding on it. Now, I've just cut some old fence palings to give it that rustic look. To finish off the box and to dress up the frame, I've used some more fence palings with some simple brackets on the bottom. Oh, very nice. And to finish it off even further, I'm going to use these handles, which will sit inside, and we can lift it up. And there you have it, one movable box. But I have actually built another one, exactly the same as that. No bottom on it, but I have put feet on it. Now, this is going to raise us up. It's going to aid in the drainage. You could screw this together, but it's going to get a little bit heavy. So I'm going to keep it separate so I can move it around. I think the only thing we're missing is a grow bag. For this grow bag, I'm just planting herbs. We've got some basil, some sage, and some sweet marjoram. Right, now all I need to do is go and find the sun. One final option for your boxes is to stack them up like this one. I've even put wheels on it to make it even easier to move around and find the sun. I put a frame at the back as well, so the beans I've planted can climb up and take the garden vertical. If you don't have a garden, no worries, you can still grow veggies. It's amazing what you find underneath somebody's house. There's some old tiles, a few bricks, a dead rat or two, but it is this that has caught my eye. I'm going to transform this gutter into something useful, decorative, and it's going to screen this deck as well. So I'm going to transform this old gutter into a hydroponic garden to grow some strawberries in that we can mount to a fence. The first thing you need to do is to cut it to length. By some miracle, mine is the perfect length. But if you had to cut yours, you could use tin snips, you could use an angle grinder or a hacksaw. Then you need to seal up the ends. Now, you need a right and a left end cap. You're going to pop rivet those in and then just seal them up with some silicone. And this is where our gutters are going. Now, because we're doing a hydroponic system, that means growing plants in water. So we're going to be pumping water into one end. I'll need to put a fall on my gutter so it flows all the way down. I'll have a hole in the bottom. It's going to drop into another gutter. We're going to have 3 gutters in total. And I'm simply going to attach them to the frame using a gutter bracket like this one. Because we don't have framework across the middle of our deck, I'm just using this piece of timber that I've attached my brackets into. If you're a good hoarder, you'll have a piece of timber laying around. So I'm just going to pop some holes in the end of our gutter so the water drains through. You don't want anything too big. I'm just using the same drill bit that we did the pop rivets with, but I'm going to put in 3 small holes. I'm just putting a bit of geotextile over the holes to stop them from clogging up, and then we can get on to the planting. Now, I said I was going to use strawberries, but I'm also going to use some marigolds as well. When it comes to planting hydroponically, you want to try and get the soil off the roots. The best way is to shake it. You don't want to be touching the roots too much because you can damage them. You pop it into your gutter, like so, and then backfill with some clay balls. Now, these are nice and lightweight. You use them in hydroponics because roots can get out into them, but water can flow between them as well perfectly. plants in, we're missing one vital ingredient to turn this into a hydroponic setup, and that is water. So I have a plastic pot here, which we're using like a pond. I've got a pump in it, and we're just pumping water all the way up here to this copper pipe, which I will then bend over into the top, and it's going to recirculate all the way through and give the plants exactly what they need. Lovely. Right, let's stick that in there. So there you have it. The day has finally come to use all those bits and pieces you've been hanging on to for that very special project. And this is it. Doesn't it look great? A fantastic way to brighten up any fence. Nobody likes a bald spot, and I'm not just talking about hairstyles here. Take a look at this front garden. We've got a really lovely house set on a fantastic street, but nothing seems to grow. It certainly does need a little bit of garden rehab, so I'm going to use my ideas and bring old Baldy here back to life. So what are the problems in this garden? Well, number one is lack of direct sunlight. We're south-facing here, and although it's nice and bright, we don't get any direct sun at all. The second one, and this is the biggest killer of so many plants, and that is bad soil. It's so compacted here, we've even got moss growing on the top, and the only thing that's thriving are these weeds. The homeowners, they really want something that's low maintenance, so I'm going to put on my thinking cap and come up with something pretty special.
I've been waiting for the phone, looking at the glow of your promise ring shining so pretty.
For maximum impact, I'm keeping this garden really, really simple. I'm mass planting it out, and then I'll have a lovely spot to sit down, relax, and enjoy it all. We're going to have stepping stones through the garden bed. That's like a second hierarchy compared to the main path that goes to the front door. And then in the centre, we're going to have a bench seat just on some plinths, which James is going to mark out. I'm putting 3 steppers in front of our bench seat, so when we sit down, you've got a nice place to put your feet. So I'm just going to lay out all this mud throughout. Now, you don't want it perfectly smooth, but you do want it level, just like that. Now, I'm going to add in some of this to my mix. This is brick tor. You normally use it on brickwork, but think of it like reinforcing in a concrete slab. It's just going to make this mud bed incredibly tough and stop any cracking from twisting. Now, you'd only do this where pavers meet, like this. I want it about 1200 long. Chop it with some tin snips, and then this gets pressed into the mud. It's going to add extra strength. I've left James to finish up the paving and to start turning over the soil, and I'm just popping off to the nursery.
A rebel and a roller. She levitate like no one. No lie, I swear I never hold her down.
And I've picked up the one key ingredient this garden really needs to give it a boost.
So if you wanna stay, I won't wait.
The problem with compacted soils is they just form a really hard crust on the surface. Water can't get in, roots can't penetrate out, and you just get lackluster growth. So the first thing to do, which Master James is doing perfectly, is turning the soil over. You want to get the whole blade of the shovel into the ground, turn it right over, and then break up any large clods of soil. Now, this is actually not too bad, is it? It's pretty good. But no matter what your soil is like, if it's sandy, if it's clay, if it looks great like this, you really need to be adding some compost to it. Now, you can make your own, but trust me, you can never, ever make enough of your own. So the next best thing is this. This is Rich Grow Black Marble Garden Compost. We'll mix it through the soil. It's going to help hold on to water, help hold on to nutrients, and really give your plants the boost they need.
We're heading out for good times. We're going where the sun shines brighter. We're heading out for good times. We're going where the sun shines brighter. So hold on to my lifeline. I'll show you where the song sounds sweeter. Just hold on to the good times.
The stepping stones are in, and it's given our front garden some real definition. We've also corrected the soil, so now we're ready for some planting. These magnificent palms are known as lady palms. They've given us this great vertical accent, and the colour of the foliage against the wall of the house just looks fantastic. Now, these palms, they don't like direct sunlight. That's why they're going to suit this position so well. They're also down here to give us some instant privacy.
You're a diamond, it's understood. You're a giant, you're a lion, you're looking good. How you make it look so good.
If you haven't guessed already, I'm going for a tropical theme with this garden, and that's because it suits the location. There's not much light, so these lovely big leaves are perfect for the conditions. And because we've improved the soil so much as well, it holds on to all the moisture these plants need. This one is called Philodendron Rojo Congo. Got these amazing bronzy purple stems to them. And to contrast these thick leaves, we've got lovely silver lady ferns. It's just going to be a riot of foliage through here. To finish it off, these lovely native violets that are going to creep around the stepping stones and fill in all the gaps. Now, if you don't know what plants suit your spot at home, don't be scared to go to the nursery and ask them, because us gardeners, we're happy to give out the information. Now, the finishing touches always mulch, but you'll notice here, these stepping stone pads for our bench seat are set 15mm lower than everything else. That way, we can put a bit of mulch over the top. We still get a nice sturdy pad for our bench seat, but the pads are hidden.
It's okay, oh, not to be okay when everything's broken. Oh, and you don't know if it's gonna be okay. Just gotta keep holding.
Lovely. Rest up there, Charlie.
Oh, you're too kind. You know, by adding in a bench seat like this, we've really given the garden a destination and a purpose, a reason to come into the space. And it seems like all these plants have actually made the space feel bigger.
Together we stand, it's how we survive. Carry the weight, keep us.
You know, this was an unloved, unused patch. You know, we added some definition with some stepping stones. We really improved the soil with lots of good quality compost and the right plant choices. Now we've got the perfect spot to sit, relax, and watch the world go by.